Welcome to Apperson Prep. My name is Mrs. Ott, and today we will be talking about multiplying and dividing fractions. Now, let's learn the math. Our parents got us a new puppy for our birthday. Yay, a dog! We were told that the dog would have to stay outside while we are at school during the day. But what happens if it rains? Or it gets too hot in the sun? Well, we need to build a doghouse to provide shelter. So, how much wood do I need to buy for the walls of a doghouse? Let's start by asking ourselves, what do I know? Well, I have done some research and found a blueprint that will work for the size of the puppy. We know how to add and subtract fractions since the walls won't be in whole numbers. And we also know how to convert mixed numbers to improper fractions so that we can change feet and inches to the same unit. Next, let's ask ourselves, what do I need to know to answer this question? We need to know that when dividing fractions, we actually multiply by the reciprocal so that we can determine how much wood to buy. I mean, we do not want to buy too much wood, right? These are some tools to help us answer our question. First, how much total wood do I need? We need to recall how to add, subtract, and multiply fractions so that we can determine the amount of wood we will need since we will not always have whole number measurements, and we have to remember to make a door. Our second question is how many pieces of wood do I get out of a single board? We need to divide using fractions and mixed numbers so that we can buy the right amount of wood and not spend too much money or waste money by buying too much wood. In order to make sense of what we are talking about today, it is always a good idea to know what the words mean. Our new word for today is reciprocal. A reciprocal is a fraction whose numerator and denominator have been switched, the inverse of the number found by inverting its fraction form. The reciprocal is the quotient of 1 and the original fraction. The way to check to see if two numbers are reciprocals is to find their product, and if their product equals 1, then they are reciprocals. We all know what fractions are, but what if you need to find part of a fraction? Like what if we have a pizza and our parents take half of the pizza, and then our brother takes half of what is left? So what is left for you? Well, what this means is that you have half of half a pizza. So let's look at this half a pizza and then half of that. So we have 1/4 of a pizza left. But how do we find that numerically? Anytime you have a fraction of a fraction, the of means to multiply. So we multiply 1/2 multiplied by 1/2. And since we know that when multiplying fractions, we multiply the numerators by each other and the denominators by each other. So we have 1 multiplied by 1 and 2 multiplied by 2. So we get 1 divided by 4, or 1/4 of a pizza. Next, let's look at dividing fractions. If we divide by 2, it is the same as multiplying by 1/2, which is the reciprocal of 2, since 2 is 2 divided by 1, and we invert the fraction to get the reciprocal. So let's say that we have 3 divided by 2 of a pie, and we want to divide it by 3 divided by 8. To do this, we will want to find the reciprocal of 3 divided by 8, which is 8 divided by 3, and then multiply. So 3 divided by 2 multiplied by 8 divided by 3. Now we need to simplify before we multiply. So we have 3 in the numerator and 3 in the denominator. So these divide to 1. This simplifies to 1/2 multiplied by 8 divided by 1, which leaves us with 8 divided by 2. But this can be simplified by dividing the numerator and denominator by 2, which leaves us with 4 divided by 1, which is 4. Now let's work the math. We need to build this doghouse, but how much total wood do I need? We will be able to do this if we can perform addition, subtraction, and multiplication on fractions. Heather has a garden that takes up 2/5 of her backyard. If she plants beans in 1/4 of the garden, how much of the backyard contains beans? Well, first, we need to identify the fractions. So 2 divided by 5 and 1/4. Now, 1/4 is the same thing as 1 divided by 4. Our next step is to figure out what operation we need to perform. Well, we want 1/4 of the garden, that is 2/5 of the yard. So we have 1/4 of 2/5. And since we know that of means multiply, we take 1/4 multiplied by 2/5. Our last step is to complete the operation. So let's take 1 divided by 4 multiplied by 2 divided by 5. Remember to simplify before we multiply. 1 multiplied by 2 divided by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 5, since 4 equals 2 multiplied by 2. The 2 in the numerator and denominator divide to 1. So we have 1 divided by 10, or 1/10 of the yard will have beans. In a blood sample, 9 divided by 20th of the sample is made up of white and red blood cells. 1/5 of those cells are white blood cells. What fraction of the sample consists of red blood cells? Pause the video, and now you do the math. And here are the solutions. We have 1 divided by 5 of 9 divided by 20, which equals 9 divided by 100. So we have 9 divided by 100 of the sample consists of red blood cells. Okay, so let's say we figured out how much wood we need. But how will we know how much to buy? I mean, the boards come in all different shapes and sizes. So in example 2, we will look at how many pieces of wood can I get out of a single board. We will be able to do this if we can divide mixed numbers and mixed fractions. We have 5 pizzas, and 2 teachers each took 1/4 of 1 pizza. So let's stop there and figure out how much pizza is left for the students. If each teacher took 1/4, or 1 divided by 4, of a pizza, then we will multiply 1 divided by 4 by 2, which equals 2 divided by 4, or 1/2. And if there are 5 pizzas to start with, then 5 minus 1/2 equals 4½ pizzas. Each student that ate had 3 divided by 8 of a pizza. The key thing to notice there is that it says 3 divided by 8 of a pizza, not 3 divided by 8 of all the pizzas. So we are looking for how many equal parts of 3 divided by 8 makes up 4½ or 9 divided by 2. So we need to divide. First, let's find the fractions in the problem. So we have 3 divided by 8 and 9 divided by 2. Second, let's determine the operation we need to perform to answer the question. That is division. And third, perform the operation. So 9 divided by 2 divided by 3 divided by 8. Remember that division is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So 9 divided by 2 multiplied by 8 divided by 3 equals 9 multiplied by 8 divided by 2 multiplied by 3, which is 72 divided by 6. Now we need to simplify, so we divide the numerator and denominator by 6 to get 12 divided by 1, or 12. So there are 12 students that ate pizza. Sasha baked 5 dozen cupcakes. By lunch, only 2/3 remain. At the start of 6th period, 5/8 of the amount at the start of lunch are left. How many cupcakes are there at the start of 6th period? Pause the video, and now you go do the math. Here are the solutions. She has 60 cupcakes. 60 multiplied by 2 divided by 3 equals 40. So by lunch, she has 40 cupcakes. And then 40 multiplied by 5 divided by 8 equals 25. So she has 25 cupcakes by the start of 6th period. So, how much wood do I need to buy for the walls of a doghouse? A good thing to notice is that boards from the store are not exactly the size they say, due to drying and milling, so always make sure you measure before doing the math. The boards I can get inexpensively are in 11-foot 8-inch lengths, and I need 4 pieces that are 2-foot 3 inches. I know this because of the blueprints that I found and researching prices. How many boards do I need to buy? Okay, so let's go through our steps. First, find the fractions. But wait a minute, there are not any fractions. But we have feet and inches, so let's turn all these measurements into fractions of feet. There are 12 inches in a foot, so 11 feet 8 inches is 11 and 8 divided by 12, or 11 and 2/3 feet. And 2 feet 3 inches is 2 and 3 divided by 12, or 2 and 1/4 feet. Second, we need to determine the operation we will use. Well, since we are taking the boards and dividing them into pieces, we are going to divide. So we get 11 and 2/3 divided by 2 and 1/4. So let's change these to improper fractions. 11 multiplied by 3 plus 2 equals 35, and 2 multiplied by 4 plus 1 equals 9. So we have 35 divided by 3 divided by 9 divided by 4. Third, let's perform the operation. So the reciprocal of 9 divided by 4 is 4 divided by 9. And now we multiply. So 35 divided by 3 multiplied by 4 divided by 9. Next, we can multiply 35 divided by 3 by 4 divided by 9. That equals 140 divided by 27. And let's change that back to a mixed number. So 27 multiplied by 5 equals 135, and that is close to 140. That gives us 5, and 5 divided by 27. So I can get 5 pieces from one board. You know, with that much left over, maybe we could have made the doghouse a little larger to make sure we used more of the wood. Remember, the fractional portion of the board doesn't matter since we cannot use part of the piece. We are concerned about whole pieces. Remember that our answer has to be logical in nature, and using part of a piece is not logical. When dividing by a fraction, it is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is a fraction whose numerator and denominator have been switched. We can check to make sure two numbers are reciprocals by making sure that the product of the number and its reciprocal equals 1. When solving problems, remember to look for the fractions, determine the operation you are going to perform, and then solve. The of means multiply, such as 1/2 of 2/3. Your turn to show off your math skills. My dog is still growing, so I need to make the walls a little higher. Do I need to buy another board if I now need 4 2 feet 9-inch pieces? What is the tallest I can make the walls with only one board? Keep up the great work. This is Mrs. Ott. Now go do the math.